I love Tower Hamlets. I first came to London as a teenager to go to university, and then when I finished university I didn't really know what to do, but I had seen a sign on the back of a bus saying drivers wanted. So in the absence of any plan whatsoever, I thought, well, I'll go and drive a bus. And the average day was driving from Clapham Common to Marble Arch 8 or 9 times. And it might seem as if that would be a boring day going up and down the same road, but you start to pay attention to detail in a different way when you're not observing the same old. You'll see a fox, or you'll see the same cat a few times, and you get to know who's at your bus stop. I did that for a few years before I saw another advert saying mechanics wanted. And I thought, well, this would be really good, because I had this really tatty old car that I had put together with tape and glue and chewing gum. So it was good that I could fix it myself. Turns out I can only fix diesel engines prior to 1985, so it's really bugger all use to me now. I'd always wanted to live in the East End, and I had friends who lived in Hackney and Tower Hamlets, so I really wanted to be over here. And I rented a flat here at first at the kind of latter half of the 90s. And back then it was just Canary Wharf Tower. But now that's changed. Now we are surrounded on every side by new builds. If it became really gentrified, which essentially usually means white and rich, it would not be the place that I loved. But it still has that nice feeling of, you know, hearing multiple languages on the bus. There are big working class populations in Tower Hamlet, so it still has that feeling to me. As a bus driver, I wasn't uncommon being a woman. Mechanics, there was a lot of resistance to me becoming a mechanic from London buses. I mean, the only sexism I really encountered was from the engineering management, who outright told me, it's not a job for a woman, you're not strong enough, you don't have the right mind to think about mechanics, and the conditions are very vulgar. It turns out that I have all 3 of those, including the vulgar part, which I'll try and moderate. But when I joined the garage itself, the men were fantastic. They even called me the boy when I first joined the garage as an apprentice, because that's what they called all apprentices, because all apprentices usually were boys. So I was the boy, I was in charge of making tea. And that wasn't because I was a woman, it was because I was the boy. I've always loved photography, and I've always loved documenting. So I took photographs of my fellow mechanics, and you pointed out that they were actually they're quite loving. There's a warmth to the photographs. You can see the camaraderie between the people. And it was a really vulgar place to work, but in actual fact, it was really in loving regard that one of them would call the other one a C word or an F word. But it was absolutely with loving regard. We were walking down Redshirt Street to go to Nudie Jeans to get myself a new pair of trousers, and there was a stall up for Rich Mix with Nigel Glasgow, I think is a photographer, was taking photographs. And it said, you know, you're Tower Hamlets resident, and Blair nudged me, and my wife nudged me and said, you should go do that. So I did. And I think it was bring an object or a thing that symbolises you in some way. Well, I happen to have my hat on, which I do really rather love. So that's how that photograph came about, which also then wonderfully got included in the big mural. I mean, the rich might think they own London, but the people who own London are all the shift workers, the porters in hospitals, the cleaning staff, the cooks, the bus drivers, the taxi drivers, because we're wandering around the viscera of this city in all sorts of extraordinary hours. And that's where you really get to know a place. So I felt like London was really mine. In fact, so much so that last year I got myself a tattoo.
Raise it a little bit higher. Like,
Oh.
maybe.
So it's upside down?
Yeah.
Okay.